Hey, ramen noodles are always cheap. Let's kick them up with a little Parmesan, garlic, and shrimp. John eats cheap with a garlicky noodle shrimp stir fry next. Let's get the party started with 4 packages of ramen noodles. I'm not going to use the seasoning packet. These are beef. Save those seasoning packets. Those come in handy for soup or other reasons. So we're going to cook this according to the package directions into the boiling water. I think it goes 3 minutes or something. Let's do that. John eats cheap, quick tip. Want to get your shrimp good and crispy like they do it in the stir-fry Chinese restaurants? Put it in a baggie. This is your peeled, deveined shrimp. Ah! Good thing I have a clean counter. I have too much in the... There we go. Okay, now what we're going to do is cover this with some cornstarch. Just good old Argo cornstarch. Use that instead of flour. It goes on thinner. It helps thicken up your sauce a little bit, and that's the way they do it. It just puts a real thin coating of breading on there. Put it in a Ziploc, leave some air in it, and just shake it around a little bit. And then we'll just cook that in oil real quick. It'll make it nice and crispy. We have our shrimp, a little over a pound. Just kind of covered it in some cornstarch. Now we're going to heat up the pan on medium-high heat. Add some oil, olive oil. We're going to let this get good and hot. And then we'll just crisp fry our shrimp real quickly. Got a few tablespoons of olive oil heating up here on medium-high heat, and we're going to dump about half the shrimp in. Don't want to do too many, and we're just going to crisp these up a little bit. These are the raw shrimp. Actually, you could use beef or chicken or pork, anything for this. Just kind of separate them a little bit so that they get good and crispy real quick. And of course, shrimp cook very quickly. Now normally I would season the shrimp when it's in the pan at this point, but with all the garlic we have to make this extra garlicky, I'm not gonna season it at all. We're just letting these crisp up a little bit, and the nice thing is in the pan you get the little crispies. That just adds more flavor to this dish. By the way, our ramen noodles are totally cooked and drained. We're just going to leave these like this. It's actually nice if they dry out a little bit. Then they soak up all the oil and the garlic and the butter that we're going to make in just a bit. And we used ramen noodles because they're cheap. You could also, if you have leftover, you could use any pasta. Angel hair would be great. Spaghetti, linguine, squingili, all that would be good in this kind of stir fry. Round 1 of the shrimp is done. So I'm going to put that in a bowl and get ready for round 2. I also have to hide this or my wife will eat it all. Stay away. While the second round of shrimp is cooking, we're going to get our sauce ready. This is 3 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 3 tablespoons of fish sauce, and we add 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, and we're just going to whisk that up. This sauce with the olive oil and butter that we're going to get in is going to make that garlic really, really shine with those noodles. Hey, hey, hey! No shrimp for you. All right, round 2 of the shrimp is done. See how it just has a little bit of a crispy coating on there? Love that. That just adds so much to the texture of this dish. And the shrimp don't get soggy. And they really absorb all the flavor we're going to put in here. So now the shrimp are done. We'll set those off to the side. And we want to take the pan off of the heat and just let it cool for a minute because we're going to add our butter and olive oil. And we don't want it to get too hot or it'll burn. Now it's time to start that great garlicky flavor. We'll take the pan that we cooked the shrimp in. As you can see, there's a little bit of crusty bits in there. That's great flavor. We're going to start with a couple tablespoons of olive oil and about 4½ tablespoons of butter. We're going to let that melt. We want to do it very slowly because we're going to add our garlic in there and let that simmer for about 6 to 7 minutes on a real low heat just to really infuse it with that garlic flavor. But if you do it too fast, it's going to burn. You don't want that. Now we're going to add, the recipe calls for about 12 cloves of garlic, so this is a whole bulb diced up. I mean, that's how you know it's garlicky when you're talking bulbs, not cloves. Cloves are for lightweights. This is an entire bulb of garlic. Add that to the olive oil and butter and just slowly let that infuse the garlic flavor into the butter oil for about 6 to 7 minutes. We're about 3 to 4 minutes in with the garlic simmering. Now I'm going to add the green onions / scallions to the olive oil butter mix. We're going to add those in and just kind of let those, you can see that garlic is not browning. You don't want it to brown. Any brown bits you see in there are just the shrimp crusties. This smells so good. Garlic and scallions been in the olive oil and butter for about 7 minutes. Great flavor, looks awesome. Now we're going to make the magic happen. We're going to turn the heat up a little bit to medium high. We're going to add our fish sauce, oyster sauce, and sugar in there and just heat that up a little bit. So much flavor in this bowl. Get as much out as we can. So we're just going to heat that up for about 30 seconds to a minute. Stir it up, mix it up. It's been simmering for about 30 seconds to a minute. We're going to add our ramen noodles, all drained and in there. And just try and mix them up, get it all coated with that garlicky, oniony flavor. Once they get the oil and the butter on there, they'll separate up a little bit. I mean, this would be good on its own. Stir it up a little bit. We're going to add our shrimp. And we're going to just stir this up till it gets good and hot. Shrimp on sale. Cheap ramen noodles. That adds up to a great John Eats Cheap meal. Stir fry. And this is enough to serve 2 for dinner tonight, and then there should be enough left over for my wife to have it for lunch twice at work. Wait a minute, I think there's a shrimp missing. I know I had one more. I always have an even number of shrimp in there, and there is an odd number, so somebody ate one, and it wasn't me. Dewey, was it you? Shrimp eater! It's all ready to go. The finishing touch, this sounds weird, Parmesan cheese. This is grated. I'll admit it's not freshly grated, but it was on sale for $1 a bag. About 1/4 cup of shredded Parmesan. And we'll stir that in. This really adds an extra great flavor to this dish. Garlicky noodles with shrimp. John Eats Cheap. Ramen noodles. Doesn't this look good? Oh, and it smells so garlicky. Get a little bit of everything. Top it with some green onion. Make it look pretty. Mmm. That is so good. And seriously, the crunch on the shrimp, just that little bit of putting the cornstarch on the shrimp and crisping them up just a little really makes a difference. I'm jealous that my wife gets to eat this for lunch for a couple of days after dinner tonight too. Thanks for following. Subscribe to John Eats Cheap on YouTube. Any emails, email me, johneatscheap@gmail.com with any questions or suggestions. I'm going to enjoy this.